Hey, Ray here from websiteprofitcourse.com. I got 5 books here that I found extremely helpful both for business strategy and also the mindset that you need to be an entrepreneur. They all provided lasting business lessons, and I know that you can achieve more if you dig into them as well. Let's go through a quick review of each, and they are all going to be linked below in the description if you do want to get a copy for yourself. The first one is The Effective Executive by Peter Drucker. One thing that a lot of people try and do is they try and become efficient with things, but they're working on the wrong tasks. And this book, not only does it dig into how to do that for yourself, but it also gives you an overview of how to do that as an organization. I think this guy was a consultant for a lot of big companies back in like the 20s, 30s, and 40s. The good thing about this is that the majority of the book is pretty timeless stuff. It doesn't go out of date. You know, some of the examples might not be as relevant as they are today, but most of the lessons are. And I picked 2 quotes here. You know, the main theme of this book is about how to use your time correctly. Time is an executive's scarcest and most precious resource, and effective executives know where their time goes. And one of the cool things is that within this book, he mentions that the one metric he likes to track is his creative hours over the course of the year, and you should set the bar at about 1,000 creative hours. And so I took that to heart, and I ended up building a spreadsheet and time tracker that lets me do just that. And I like to track my time between 3 main projects. So I'll link that up in the description below and here in the top right if you want to get a copy of that spreadsheet. There's also an upgraded version that will automatically track everything for you just through your Google Calendar if you already use that for your events. But yeah, I think this was just a good all-around book that would help any person become more productive. The next book here is The One Thing, The Surprisingly Simple Truth Behind Extraordinary Results by Gary Keller with Jay Papasan. In a world where we can get distracted so easily, it puts the focus on how to prioritize exactly what you need to work on. I'll read the 2 quotes here. Go to your calendar and block off all the time you need to accomplish your one thing. And activity is often unrelated to productivity. So I kind of just touched on that before, where most people try and do busy work. They try and become efficient, but they're not doing the right things. And I think both of these books combined will really help you out. But if there's one takeaway that I had from this, it's in terms of how to organize your calendar. As the title suggests, he recommends that you block off 4 hours from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and only work on one really big thing. Because most of us are doing short tasks, half-hour tasks, 1-hour tasks, and we're not building towards a bigger strategy. And you need those large time blocks without any interruptions to get done that big picture work. But between these first 2 books, I probably highlighted about 1/3 of each. So these were, I think, the 2 books that I just got the most out of when it comes to structuring your time as a freelancer or when you're working for yourself. And the next book here, this was probably the first book that I had ever read about business. And the reason I know that is because I have this one in paperback, whereas all my other books are on my Kindle. And this is The E-Myth Revisited, Why Most Small Businesses Don't Work and What to Do About It by Michael E. Gerber. This one hits you hard because look at the quote here. If your business depends on you, you don't own a business, you have a job. So this book really puts into perspective the difference between working in your business and working on your business. And most people, they start a business because they're really good at the core task of the business. Like, let's say, for instance, if you're a contractor, you might be a really good, designer, remodeler, and good at that hands-on work. But once you open a business, you have to do things that a business owner would do, and business owners don't do those, low-level tasks. So a lot of people fail because of this. This book, I'm pretty sure it contains a story of a bakery or some kind of small business like that, and teaches you a lot of the lessons through that story. And the other thing that it really pushes is that the work we do, it's a reflection of who we are. That translates to being detail-oriented. You don't want to be sloppy with your work, and to create a business, you have to be very detail-oriented, very process-oriented. And when you do that, when you have really strict processes and procedures, you can pass off your work to other people, and you don't need those people to be the smartest of people. I think that was another big takeaway of this book, that you want the lowest level of intelligence person to be able to complete tasks to operate your business. And that's how you create the time freedom that you're looking for if you want to own a business and start one. Now, this is definitely the most unique of the list. It's The Greatest Salesman in the World by OG Mandino. And this is a short religious story, but I got this just really because it was highly rated on Amazon. It's been highly rated for a long time, and it has so many 5-star reviews of people who said that, this stuck in their heads over many years, and it's allowed them to become successful in business. And the quick gist of the story is that it's a guy who's in search of how to become a great salesman, and he comes across these 10 scrolls, and he's told that if you work with these scrolls and live with them over a long period of time, that you'll get whatever you want. I ended up writing down all 10 of these scrolls. I have a piece of paper where I just refer to it. 2 of them that I think really stick out in terms of business: I will form good habits and become their slave. And I think habits are the most important thing in life. I just published a video about what I consider to be 9 successful habits for freelancing or blogging. I'll link that up here. And the other quote here is that many have attained wealth with one sales talk delivered with excellence. I think this is something most people don't believe. They think that wealth and becoming successful is a super complicated thing. And most of the time, the complicated part is the distribution of it, not the actual sales message or the service. So you need to be creative with how to get your message out there. But I can tell you for sure, I actually used to do work with one of my clients. I'd go to his office, and he would take sales calls. He was running a high-end service that cost a minimum of between $5,000 to $10,000. He would offer people free 30-minute consultations, and I listened to him about 10 to 15 times going through his sales talk, and it was this to a T. He would hit on the same points over and over again, and you can tell that he had just memorized answers to the questions that he gets because he's in this one particular niche. I really enjoyed this book. It's only about 100 pages, and I finished it in a day. And I highly recommend it. I think it'll have an impact on you. The last one here is The War of Art: Break Through the Blocks and Win Your Inner Creative Battles by Steven Pressfield. And this was recommended, I think, on Joe Rogan's podcast a couple of times. He says he hands it out to any artist, comedian that he feels is maybe struggling. And this is another one of those mindset books, kind of like the last one. The whole point of the book, it's labeling that feeling that stops us from getting things done, and he calls it resistance. He says that resistance is the most toxic force on the planet, and you can think about this whatever you want. Creative block, writer's block, overthinking, overanalyzing, all that produces anxiety, and most of the anxiety goes away once you start acting and doing what you want to do and moving towards it, even if you're not close. And this also hits on the habit side of things. He mentions that nothing else matters except sitting down every day and trying. And he talks about doing something every single morning, regardless of whether it's a weekend, a holiday. You should dedicate time every day towards your creativity and moving yourself forward. This is especially true if you're running a business. And I have this mindset too. Like, I don't like the idea of working 12 to 16-hour days all the time, or even doing that 5 days a week and taking 2 or 3 days off. I kind of like the idea of pacing myself, working 7 days, but maybe only putting in 3 to 4 good hours of work each day. I think that balanced approach is a much better way of living, and it's sustainable, that where you can do it long term. So there's a little peek into my favorite books. If you haven't read any of them, pick at least one and grab a copy. I'll link them up in the description below. And I think if there's one takeaway from these books, it's that you should use a calendar and know how you're spending your time and if you're using it wisely. So to help you do that, I have this free time tracker spreadsheet. To get a free copy of that, go to websiteprofitcourse.com/tracker. I'll include a link to that also in the top right and the description below. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there is an upgraded version that will do this automatically. It just links together your Google Sheet and your Google Calendar. And as long as you use it correctly, it will import your data automatically. The other thing I really think everybody should do is create a blog or a website. And if you do something based around what you're passionate about, there's a much better chance you're going to make money down the road and turn that into a passive income stream. And the best software that you can use to build a website is WordPress. I've been building with WordPress for over a decade now, and I put together this free video training that will help you get started. So to get access to that, go to websiteprofitcourse.com/WP101, and I'll also link that here and in the description below. And last but not least, Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. I want to hear your favorite books, because if there's one thing I realized, once you start reading and getting recommendations from people that you trust, there's way too many books out there to finish. I think my list of books that I want to read is something like 200, and at the pace I'm going, I'm finishing about maybe like 5 or 6 a year. So I think over the next couple of years, I'll probably end up building a better habit for reading, where I'm doing an hour or 2 hours a day, because right now I tend to do it in 15 or 30 minute chunks. And please subscribe to my channel so you can get future videos. I want to help you set up your first website, help you run your business website, and also teach you how to freelance with website and WordPress skills. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch, and I hope you have a great day.